Hello and welcome. If you like the video you're about to see, then please subscribe and like so I can make more, or leave a comment. So today we're going to look at back to lay horses. This is quite a reasonable subject. It's got one of the best responses I've had to the videos I've done. But I've been asked, how do you pick suitable horses? Now, this is a fairly reasonable question because at the end of the day, there are several ways of looking at back to lays. I mean, a back to lay is only successful when a horse's price shortens for whatever reason in running. Now, the price should shorten by at least 25% to make it worthwhile, but preferably by 50% or more. Some of the reasons why a horse's price will shorten in running is that it's a front runner and it gets out in front and looks as if it might win. At the point it looks as if it might win, its price will shorten dramatically. The second one is that there are horses that tend to travel well in races and therefore look as if they're going to win. Particularly, this happens in longer distance races, where the horse is travelling extremely well at about the 2 furlong market, or sometimes in jumps 2 fences out from home, they'll be travelling extremely well and look as if they're going to win. So that will then reduce their price at that point. Sometimes a horse has a lot of support pre-race, and then actually in running it looks very favourable, gets a good position, etc. And then more money will come from those who are confident that it's going to win, and its price will shorten in running. This often happens with heavily backed, so therefore fairly short-priced horses. And you think, well, actually, it's something like a 1.8 is not a great price, but in fact, fairly quickly after the race starts, the horse gets a good position and the price will go down to 1.4, 1.3 even. So so you can get some back to lays there, where you've got these heavily backed and fancied favourites who fairly quickly their price shortens in running. And the final one that I can think of, there may be other reasons, is that there's horses that have problems. They sweat up. They don't go into the stalls very well. They've started slowly in the past, even refused to race in the past. And those horses, when they actually go in the stalls well, they're not sweating up, or they come out of the stalls well, their price will shorten fairly quickly. Now, I don't tend to go for any but the first one of those, which is that I tend to go for front runners who can get out and get the lead. And that means that what I'm looking for, generally speaking, is shorter races. Generally speaking, if you go for sprints, then front runners, if they start quickly and like to front run, they can get out in front. I look for races where horses have been successful over the course and distance, and where front running is in fact an advantage. Also look for where a draw could be an advantage, particularly in sprints. That's where you see most of the effect of being drawn well. So I look for any draw advantage. As I say, I normally look for sprints, but sometimes on some courses, front running, particularly courses like Catterick, for instance, where there's a short straight after the final bend, front running can be quite an advantage because the jockey can hold up the field behind them and then push on off the bend where it can get the inside. And then the horses coming from behind have to either come wide or wait and don't have enough time to get past. So you sometimes can get quite a good back to lay on horses in races up to about a mile, I'd say. And finally, for races where horses I've chosen has little or no likely competition for the lead, so I look at the other horses in the race, and I would say you know, that there are no others that would want to front run. Therefore, mine will get an easy lead. So, that's how I look at back delays, and we're now going to look at an example from today's racing. So here we are. We've come to the home page of At the Races, and we're going to have a look at the racing for today, which is 19th of January. And we can see that there's obviously 19th of January is jump racing. There's also some racing on the all-weather at Lingfield, where I'm looking for 5 furlong races, where that's where I tend to go for Lingfield. There's no 5 furlong races there. So I'm not going to bother with Lingfield, but I see Wolverhampton's on tonight, and there you go. I can see a race that would be particularly interested in. It'd be 2, the 5:45 and the 8:15. But I'll have a look at the 5:45 just to give you a heads up. I have actually looked at this race a little bit before I did this video. So I'm going to show all the runners on the grid, if they all will show me. Which it isn't, so come on, show me all the runners on the grid, will you? There we go, show all the runners on the grid. So there we go, and there are 11 runners, which is a decent number. It says that the draw advantage is none, but I'll show you some of the work I've done on the website in a minute. So what I'm looking for actually specifically on, well, going to At the Races is I'm looking at several things. The first one is to get a feeling for the horses in the race. So who's riding what? So I see that Archie Watson's got his apprentice on there. I'm not a particular fan of that particular apprentice. We've got a Quinn who's a bit of a gambler. Danny Brock's a decent rider. Average jockey from my point of view, Liam Canary. Spearing's quite a good trainer. This horse won last time out. There seems to be some money for it. So that would be something that I would be looking at. I also believe that being drawn low is important. So being drawn 2 is important. So a Sure Welcome, I think, would certainly rank quite highly on my chart, or my list of possible winners. Sullivan, like him. Carr, good trainer. I say above average, both above average. I've had a quick look at the form of this horse. I don't particularly like it. It's drawn 3 though, low, so that has to come somewhere near the shortlist, and you don't ignore time form when they give it 5 stars. Probert, excellent jockey, like him a lot. Harris doesn't get a lot of winners outside. Well, he gets winners at certain courses, like he's quite prominent in Bath and so on. Yeah, latest win at Bath, you can see that. So Harris, not overly impressed with. We do see course and distance, 2 runs, 1 win, so that gives you some hope. Seventh, 7 draw, not ideal. So again, that comes somewhere there. Ellie McKenzie, okay, she's learning. Robert Teal, not a particular fan. Cox, I was a fan. He's gone off the boil. Balding also gone off the boil. So I would tend to say no. Not a fan of Fran Berry, I'm afraid. Lots of people are. I'm not. Ray Guest, I would say average trainer. Kevin Lundy, I don't think he's going to last as a jockey, unfortunately. He started off okay, but he really hasn't pushed on. And Laura Williamson is an okay trainer, but I don't fancy this particular horse. Drawn 11 as well on the outside. I can't see that winning. Luke Morris, champion all-weather jockey. You never ignore horses he's on. Robert Cowell is the sprint specialist, but he hasn't had a winner this year at Wolverhampton. Doesn't tend to get his winners here, tends to get his winners at places like Chelmsford. So not overly impressed with him. Drawn 9 as well. So I'm not going to be a fan of Becker. And I've got Entertaining Ben coming back to form. Nicola Curry's very much an improving jockey, very much the opposite end to Kevin, I'm afraid. She is an up-and-coming jockey and will do, and has done very well, and will do better. Amy Murphy is a similar story, an up-and-coming trainer who will get better. So we've already, just by looking at the field, cut it down. But now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the front runner. So what do? I've looked at the overall. I've seen what I quite fancy. Now I'm going to look at the pace angle. And the pace angle says that we've got some pacey sorts in here. We've got someone in stall 1. It's All a Joke, who seems to have some pace. You must obviously, I think that being a front runner is important. From stall 1, a low draw. Therefore, I must have a thought about him. The second is this one. Well, we'll have a look at that in a minute. The other one that does interest me, drawn 4, is has the highest pace rating. Now, a pace rating doesn't necessarily mean it likes front running. So let's just do a few bits and pieces then on Entertaining Ben, who says that it's got pace. But let's look more into the background of Entertaining Ben. So we'll click on Entertaining Ben, and we'll get the form out of at the races, and we'll have a closer look at what Entertaining Ben has achieved and whether this is in fact a true front runner. So what you do is you go into the form, and there's a little red arrow beside, round arrow beside where its last race, and we can see that Lead pushed along over 1 furlong out, headed just inside final furlong, kept on 1 pace. Well, we like the idea that it led. Okay, so that's good news. Chased lead at every chance. Okay, so it was up with the leaders, but didn't lead. Chased leaders. Okay, that's all right. Track leader. Okay, up with the leaders. Prominent led after 1 furlong. Good, like that. Liked him leading after 1 furlong. Set strong pace. That means he was in the lead. That's good. And when he won, oh yeah, we really like that. He won by making most. So this led again. That's good news. Led again. That's very good news. Led again. That's very good news. So we see that this horse absolutely does like to lead. So what about the others in this race? What about the other horses that we see? Well, It's All a Joke, we've seen, has got some good pace. 7, it's drawn 1. I like that draw. I'll show you why in a minute. So let's have a look at It's All a Joke, because if this horse likes to lead, then and they're telling you also draw check stall 1 is green. So if this horse likes to lead, then we might have some competition for the lead. So let's have a look. In Touch ridden, In Touch, mainly mid-division. Close Up, okay, might like to lead, but a headway on the inner, lead approaching the final furlong, so it didn't lead to the final furlong there. Track leaders, okay, it does like to be up. It does like to be up there, but doesn't like to be in front. Mid-division, yeah. In Touch, yeah. Slowly into stride. Held up, not much room. Okay, so we've already seen that there's in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races. Let's see what's on. Always towards the rear. So in 8 races, this horse has won twice. Good news, very good news. You might think that gives it a good chance of winning, but it's never led, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, does this horse want to pull itself to the lead? Does it want to cut the throat of the horse I like and challenge it and compete for the lead? And the answer to that question is no, it doesn't. It doesn't want to do that. So rather than going through them all, I have been through, before this video, all of these, and the other 2, Assure Welcome and Kathlefa, don't like to lead. In fact, there is no other horse in this race that has shown form where it likes to lead. So now I'll show you why this is important at Wolverhampton. So I'll just come back to you in a second. So here we are. We've now logged into the Inside Tracks website, and we see that we have tab here called Track Facts. If you click on Track Facts, we'll go through to where we have done a whole load of research on each of the flat racing tracks in the UK, and it's coming up now. So we'll see Track Facts, horse racing tracks, details and characteristics. Here are the turf courses, all of them are there. And there are the all-weather courses. We also show you a map of where every course in Britain is, so you can quickly and easily see where you are. So let's move into Wolverhampton. If we go to Wolverhampton, we'll see that it's an all-weather track, and we give you the key characteristics of the track. But one of the key items that we tend to like to show you is that we have done a lot of analysis on draw bias and also who is favoured, front runners or those coming from mid-division or behind. And we've particularly highlighted to you over 5 furlongs it is more important to get out in front and either be leading or very handy coming off the final bend. The draw only comes into effect in larger fields. We've got 11 horse field here, where it then pays to be drawn low so that you can get to the front and not have to race wide round the bend. So we are saying in this that basically being drawn low and getting out in front and going round the bend on the inside is very important in this race. So that's where we get that information from. And you can see that we also give you other information regarding the other distances. And actually, one of the things that you might like to know for future reference, the extended 1 mile is particularly interesting, as the stats tell us it is almost impossible to make all. It is ranked 35 out of 39 on the of UK courses for the number of 101 losers as well. So there's 2 amazing things that you see sometimes horses over the extended mile. They will get out in front and they will look as if they're going to win coming off the final bend, and their price drops enormously, and then something comes over the top. In fact, quite often I've seen over the extended mile a horse looking like it's going to win coming around the final bend, actually not even finishing in the first 3. So that might be some useful information for you there to use in your betting strategies. So now I'm going to pause, and we're going to go to back to at the races. Okay, actually, before we go back to at the races, this is an important step in the process that I use for looking at back-to-lay propositions, and it's Timeform. All you need to do is to sign up to Timeform to get this information. You don't need to pay anything, it's free. So what we're going to do is put in this box here, entertaining Ben. We have entertaining Ben come up. So this now is going to show us some very useful information indeed for us to confirm or deny whether we think this is a good back-to-lay proposition. So here's entertaining Ben's form. But one of the key aspects that we're looking for is Betfair starting price and the low that it actually traded at in play. As you say, you see Betfair in play price is low. You can see high, low there. So basically, what we're looking for, and I'll try and annotate this for you just so that we can, we'll have a quick look. So for instance, here, if I can annotate it, I haven't annotated it, okay, fine. So here, we're saying that the Betfair starting price was 11. And in this particular race, Lingfield, over 5 furlongs on the 11th of January 2019, that was his last race, it ran well, it ran in the lead, and its Betfair price went to a low of 2.44. When we say we want to see 50%, we were looking for anything under 5.5. So basically 2.44 is it matches and beats the 50% rule we're looking for. 61 was what it was on 18th of December, and it traded as low as 20, a third of its price. So that's good news. 8.57, 6.8, it's about 25%, which is okay. It's not great, but it is definitely lower than its Betfair starting price. 9.45 to 7, yep, again, not fantastic, but 25%. 14.21 to 9.8, yeah, it's definitely below. 4.1, it's not 50% because we're looking for 7, but it's definitely between 25% and 50%. 4.16 and 1.3. So as you can see, and 3.75 in that particular race, it won. So that's exactly what we want to see, and that was with it leading the race as well. 7.5, 2.04, yes, very good. 8.23, 1.07, yes, very good. Yes, good. Yes, good. Yes, good. Yes, good. So we've actually seen that this horse basically hasn't run in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times without bettering its Betfair starting price, and has beaten its Betfair starting price by more than 50% on 1, 2, not quite, it depends what price you got in before the off, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, not quite, 7, 8. So 8 times out of 14, it has well beaten 50%. So this is really extremely good news. Also, I'd like to point out that Sylvester de Souza won on him. Good jockey. So it says that if you put a better jockey on the horse, it does respond well. And certainly when Oisin Murphy was on it, it went to a third. Now, Grace McKenty, I don't have a particular thing about her, nor him. So I'm not specifically thinking that these 3 jockeys are particularly good. I think Nicola Curry is a better jockey. So I think we've got an improvement in jockey as well. So 2 more pieces of information that have given us a very good feel for this horse. So I will just repeat why I am interested in Entertaining Ben. So Entertaining Ben is in a 5 furlong race at Wolverhampton, where it pays to be in the lead, and pays to be in the lead going round the bend and coming out of the bend. And I think drawn 4, low number draw in a 11 horse field, it will have a very good chance of getting out in front and doing that. Secondly, horses on the other horses in the race, none of them show a particular liking for going off in front. There are some that like to be up with the lead, but there are none that really want to lead. So I think that this horse will get into the lead because nothing else will want to do so. Third, we see that we have a good jockey on board, certainly compared to last time. And we see that this horse is coming back into form, second over the second in its last race. So it's coming back into form, which is good news. So we see that is good news. It has run reasonably well at Wolverhampton before. In fact, if we go back, it's run second back there. Yeah, it's run well at Wolverhampton before. It's certainly been placed, and I'm not sure it hasn't won, but it's certainly been placed at Wolverhampton before. So we can say that it doesn't have a particular dislike for the course. I'm not sure it's got a particular like for the course, but I don't think it's got a dislike. So for all these reasons, we're not, again, a back to lay isn't about this horse winning. A back to lay is about, is the horse going to be priced to take into account that it will come out in the lead, it will travel round the first bend in the lead, it'll come off the first bend in the lead, and because of that, its price will drop. It's done it before on 8 out of the 14 occasions. Do we think the things are in place for it to do it again? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes, we do, because it's ticked all the boxes. So we'll stop there for a minute. So now we do return to at the races, as I was going to do before, and we have a look at the grid, and we have a look at Entertaining Ben, and we see that this horse is at 16, 18 odd to 1, 20s on Betfair. So I want to go into Betfair and have a quick look at this race and see how it's developing, and see what is happening to the particular horse in question. So I pop through to Betfair. And we go into horse racing, and we go down to the 5:45, which is some time away. It's 12:54, just about 1 o'clock, so we're still 4 hours plus away from this race, and we'll have a quick look and see what's happening to Entertaining Ben. Entertaining Ben is currently somewhere between 24 and 29, so we would need that price. I quite like that. I wouldn't like to see Entertaining Ben at, I mean, it's possible with the second, and if everybody thought this horse was going to win, and it was wasn't up against some of these guys, that you would say that that price could have been 3 to 1, but no, it's not. Let's have a look at the chart. Very early days. I mean, we only had £454 bet on this horse. The total match so far is 16,000, so really not a lot. We'd expect probably something around about 500 quid, 600 quid, to be honest. So it's getting its share. It might fall out at something more. Last price match was 24. If we look at that, that's at the top end, so it could go out a bit more. So I think I would wait on this just to see where it will peak. I'll be keeping an eye on it over the period of the afternoon. I would say I would quite fancy it at 24. So I may even put a bet on that. See how it goes. I'm going to stop there. We've got our strategy. We know what we're doing. And we'll see what happens when the race happens. So it's going to be 3 or 4 hour break now. Just a few seconds after I set it off. So it's 5:26. That's about 20 minutes before the start. We can see that I have been having nibbles, as I told you I would. So I have a £35 stake on at 22.39. And as I told you, I would expect people looking at this race to recognise that Entertaining Ben is the front runner, and any of those out there who knows front running over 5 furlongs is a good idea will be beginning to get on the bandwagon. So what we can see is that it went out. We saw that chart just now. We saw it go out to 26, 27. I was nibbling around about here, 23. Now it's come back in, and it's back down to a level where if it breaks through the 18 or so, then I would expect it to keep coming down. If it doesn't, it might flatten, or possibly over the last 10 minutes, if there is a lot of sentiment against the horse, it will start to come back out towards 26, 27. I'm not really thinking about this as a win race. As you know, we're looking at this as a way of making money from the horse getting out in front and coming down in price. So we've already made a few bob from the strategy, understanding that others would recognise it. So from a £35 stake, I've already made £6.25. So that's not a bad return just from identifying this early on and doing that. So now what I'm going to show you in just a second is the stake calculator that I've got that will help you to tell you how much to place on this race for a return. So I've got the back to lay staking calculator available. This is available on insidetracks.co.uk. If you go there, you'll find this in the back to lay section, which is under how to make money out of Betfair. So what we ask you to do is to put in three elements. Firstly, how much profit do you want to make on this back to lay of your bet amount? So if we take the bet amount, because we can put that one in, we know what that is. That's £35, isn't it? So we put £35 in, and we know what the stake, what the what the odds that average odds we're getting, which is 22.39. So we should be able to see that figure of 748.65. Okay, so there's a rounding error in there somewhere. That's probably not quite 22.39, but 748.65 is what we are calculating here. So it's just a rounding error, a 11 pence rounding error. So if we want to get 50% of our money back, so in other words, £35, if the horse wins, the horse loses, we want £17.50, don't we? Then we'd have to lay this horse for £52.50 at 14.93. Well, to be honest, if it's coming in to sort of 19 already, 14.93 doesn't look like a bad place to be. And if we really think it's going to manage that, that's fine. I'm seeing it's actually drifting quite badly. So we'll need to make that decision close to the time, depending on where the horse has come into. Will depend on how much margin we'll be prepared to take. If, say, I wanted a 25% margin, just change it, and it suddenly changes for you. So we got £8.75 profit, win or lose. We would need to put on £43.75 at 17.91 laying odds. So this calculator is quite nice because it tells you exactly what to put for any given stake. I mean, if that was, say, 50 quid, do that, then it's £62.50 at the 17.91. So it's very quick, very easy. You can muck about with it, play it as you like, but it'll always deliver you exactly the same profit or loss, win or lose. That's where you green up at, and then depending on where you are on Betfair, you'll pay a commission on that. So I'm going to leave it now, and I'm going to come back close to the race. It's 17:32. I'll come back around about 17:43. Okay, so we're very close to the race now, and I actually have a significant bet on. I got £55 at 23.8 to 1. So what I'm doing is a quick calculation to say if I want 25%, I need to put £68.75 at 19.04. So that's what I'm going to do. 19.04. Write that in. 19.04. 68.75. I want 19 then, and that will do me. I'll place that. I will now make sure that key is kept, and we will now have a quick look at the race. So we see Entertaining Ben is there. So we've already made our £13 in the space of how long was that? Can you imagine doing anything that quickly? We got £13.80.92, and I was daft not to go for better because look at it, Entertaining Ben there, down at 12, and look, he's playing catch me if you can. Is he going to go down below 12? 11.5, 11. 14 we could get, and now he's beginning to get caught. But that's the point. We're not worried about whether he's going to win or not. We know he's not going to win, and there he is. He's definitely not going to win. We knew that, and we weren't expecting him to do so. And Entertaining Ben now is out to 300. But the fact is that we've just made a huge amount of money from in the first how long? 20 seconds or so. So we made £14 on the deal, and it took us about 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds. So that's the point. Your horse does not have to win in order for you to make 25% of your money. And in fact, if I bring back the stake and return calculator, if I wanted to make 50% of my money, let's put that in. Did it make 15.87? Yeah, it did, because we'll have a quick look and see what Entertaining Ben was, in fact, what its lowest level was. It was back for £233 at 11.5, so we'd have made it quite easily. But the point being here is that I wasn't overly impressed with the price that Entertaining Ben was the chart that Entertaining Ben was showing me. It was showing me a negative chart. If you see, this is the inverse. That's his chance of winning towards the off, which was here. It was beginning to decline. So I wasn't particularly confident in this horse, and it didn't quite do what I wanted it to, which was to come in significantly from the 23 that I backed it at to about the 18. And I could have made 25% of my money actually some time back when it was down at 18.5. But I was holding on because I thought it would go in more. But it didn't do that. But even so, we knew what we're doing. We knew that it was going to come out. We knew that it was going to lead the race. We knew nothing else wanted to lead the race. And as such, in running, it gave us 18.99 within a few seconds really of the start of the race. So if you want access to all the tools, if you want access to this back to lay staking calculator, you want access to some of our tips, etc., then if you want to, you can just come to insidetracks.co.uk. And just to remind you, please subscribe and like, or leave a comment if you like this video. If you didn't, you can let me know. Thanks very much.